I'm trying. This is where all of my theater training pays it.
Yes, exactly.
Dividend, it's like, okay, I really am tired.
I was sound asleep half an hour ago, so
I'm glad you're awake now. Thank you very much. All right, ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
Hello? Are you ready? Then we'll begin.
We're at the end of the church's year, and it's a bittersweet Monday. So let's get started. You are here for Monday Morning Catholic, episode number 96.
6:30 Monday morning. I'm here hiding in my bed. A song plays on my alarm clock as I cover up my head. Somewhere in the distance, I remember yesterday singing.
Well, I remember yesterday very well, but I want to go back to bed and pull the covers over my head. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to another edition of the Monday Morning Catholic Podcast. I am your host and moderator, Joanne Mercier, and it's just the two of us. It's one of those weekends where Linda Reed is the only other person who wants to put up with me. So good morning, Linda. How you doing?
Good morning, faithful sidekick. Here I am.
Just don't call her Tonto.
That's right.
And I don't have my normal music on for It Takes Two because it's not working properly. And,
Oh, boo.
this could be Friday the 13th if it wasn't Monday the 16th. It figures.
You bet.
How you doing?
I'm all right. It was a pretty good weekend, all in all.
Well, yeah, given everything that's
everything that's happened, yes.
If you are listening to this on the 16th, you are really, really aware of what's been going on. If you're behind, then this is old news. But, when we are going to talk about this today, you don't know what to say when you start to see signs that are biblical.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way. These poor people in Paris who went out for an evening, of just fun, and ran into, evil incarnate that decided to, because of their own agenda, we're all infidels and
blow people up.
Yep. And that's the end of it. We've been through 9/11. We've been through some of these other horrific things. I mean, and the day before that, there had been a bombing in Beirut. Now, I understand that happens there all the time, apparently.
Yeah.
But it's still, we are so numb to that.
It is.
That was just as devastating as what happened in Paris. Yet everybody gravitates towards Paris because of where it is, and it's not in the middle of a war zone. But
right.
But this whole thing is such a wake-up call to all of us that we are all in the middle of a war zone. Yeah, we're not going. I don't want to frighten anybody, and I don't want to run scared myself. But all of this is extremely, extremely biblical.
Yeah, it's really weird. You start reading that stuff. You start reading that stuff about end times, and it's just, you listen to the readings this past weekend, and you see what's actually going on in the world, and it's like, whoa. This ain't no fig tree.
No, not at all. And I'm sure the first century Christians saw in what was going on in their time that, oh wow, this was the end of the world.
Well, it's interesting. You'll see some of that reflected in my homily this week.
In the homily you heard.
The homily I have, yes. Not my homily. No heresy here.
True. Well, and the same thing with one of the two homilies that I happened to hear this weekend and will share. But it still leaves me breathless.
Yeah.
And sometimes speechless.
I know.
Because and I've got to, I'll put it out there and I'll admit this. This is not a normal war situation.
Yeah.
And it is interesting that our particular government and a lot of the governments now in the world don't know how to deal with it. And it was something that I read by Elizabeth Scalia.
Yeah.
That is up on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Monday Morning Catholic. It's up there that you can't fight this type of war. And Pope Francis says it is World War III, basically, because you have no connection to a higher being.
Yeah.
Such secular society and all of these lovely secular humanists running around saying, I am the most important thing. And the mind, my mind is,
yeah.
And man's mind or woman's mind, sick, is the most important thing. They have no idea. They are up against people to whom they have an allegiance to, someone they do not see.
Yeah.
Believe in faith, wants them to do this. How are you going to defeat them unless you too are a person of faith?
Yeah.
And know their mind and know how to neutralize them.
Yeah.
You can't.
She was comparing the mindset of America in the Second World War to where we are now.
Not just America, but Britain. I mean, it was nothing for the leaders of our countries to say, let's all take a moment to pray.
To pray, yes.
They would not say that now.
Now, God forbid you pray.
Exactly.
Yes.
and you're trying to defeat an enemy who's running around going Allah Akbar.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
No. It doesn't.
So, gang, it may be up to us Christians, and the way we deal with it is a lot differently than our governments.
Oh, yeah.
And makes me think back.
I think, it's just this kind of senseless violence.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so difficult to deal with. When you're talking war, you got the soldiers here with the guns and the soldiers here with the guns, and they shoot at each other, okay?
And they're shooting and they're fighting over an ideology.
Yes.
Okay.
We're fighting for our freedom, the
right.
freedom of our country, blah, blah, blah,
Right.
But with these terrorists, and that's basically what they are, is terrorists.
They are.
They don't understand. I mean, they have an ideology, but the ideology is just wipe everybody else out.
Because you're all wrong.
Yeah.
You are the infidel. You are wrong. So we are right.
And we're going to kill you all.
And if we die, we get 77 virgins.
Yeah, right. So we'll strap explosives to ourselves and stand in the middle of a group of people.
And we'll take you all out.
Take you all out, and I'll get my virgins.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you can, unless you are someone of faith, unless you are someone who understands that motivation,
you
can't defeat them. You can't. Anything you do to them in a warfare type of thing, it isn't going to work.
No.
Because you can't figure them out. Mm-mm. So I don't know how our elected officials right now are useless.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry if you're anybody out there who's a friend of Obama. He's sorry, doesn't get it. I'm not even going to go down the roads of what other people think why he doesn't get it. He just doesn't get it. Okay. And any of the, people coming up to wanting to be president, I can't see any of them totally understanding the situation.
Being able to deal with this. Yeah.
You need somebody of faith. At this point, bring back Mitt Romney.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
They're trying to, let me tell you.
I don't care what you think about Mitt Romney. At least the man is a man of faith. At least the man, would understand the enemy.
Yes, exactly. But that's exactly the kind of person they are not going to let get in.
Exactly. Because we want all our other rights. that when I saw the kids in Missouri. Oh, well, Paris took away our spotlight. Excuse me?
Yeah.
Excuse me, what?
Excuse me?
Are you
my God.
serious?
Jeez.
Kids, hello?
Yeah.
You know, not that your cause is any less important, but you got to look at the hierarchy of importance right now, and dead people win.
Yes, exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
you're taking out people with bombs strapped to other people
Yeah.
and shooting them like they're fish in a barrel. You know, come on.
Yeah, well.
You know, somebody painted a swastika in your bathroom. I don't really care.
Yeah, at least you're still alive.
Exactly.
You know?
So, you know, folks, we're going to start off with, we really need to pray about this.
Oh, yes. Everybody needs to pray. And that's the problem. Nobody does.
Nobody knows how. We're not, you know, a lot of people, since they walk away from the church, have no idea how to talk to God anymore.
Yeah.
So what do you say? How about just saying to God, help?
Help. Yes.
Not me.
We want you back into our society. We would like you back into our society. Please come and help.
And he will.
If you ask him.
If you ask God to come back into our society, he will be there, guns blazing.
Yeah.
You know, to help his people. But if
people they don't want to uphold their end of the covenant. That's the sticky thing.
No, they would just want him back for this, and then they toss him.
Yeah. They don't want to uphold their end of the covenant by little things like obeying the 10 Commandments. And you know,
it's just a little thing. Sorry.
Yeah.
But you know what? Our God is such a good God that if you asked him back, if everybody asked him back and he came and helped, yeah, there would be some that would fall away again, but I have a feeling some would stay.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just need, I know that our young people need to see God in action.
Yeah.
And when they don't see God in action or can't recognize God in action.
That's the thing. God is always in action.
Oh, yeah, of course.
You don't recognize it or ally yourself with it.
Right.
It's sad.
And this is the realm I deal in all the time with kids. You know, it's like they want to see God in action. They want proof that he exists.
Yeah.
You know,
just look.
Well, but then they look at something like Paris.
Well, yeah.
And they say, well, where's God?
Hey.
And my answer is in the people that got up and ran, in the people that helped another person to live, in the people that, you know, took people into their bistro and you know, barred the doors and kept them safe. That's where God is. If you want to use that, you know, Fred Rogers meme that's going around.
Yes.
God is in the helpers.
That's right.
That's where God is. If you can't recognize that as God, yikes, you got to go back to your catechism. Bible, you got to go back to your lessons, because that's what we're trying to teach you. That's where God lives. God lives in us as his body. We are his body.
Yes.
And God will give us the strength to.
People are looking for wonders. People are looking for the parting of the Red Sea, you know?
And done. Red Sea, been done. Manna. Done. You know, all the plagues, been done.
Been done. You know, did it once, not doing it again.
You know, God hates to repeat himself because he's got so many other things he could do. Why does he need to repeat himself?
But that's the type of thing, you know, that people are looking for.
Yeah.
You know, God of power and might, come step in and, you know, but that's not how God works.
Well, that's funny. They want the God of power and might, but don't smote me.
Yes, exactly. They want you to smote somebody else.
Yeah, go smote somebody else. Don't smote me.
Exactly.
And you can't have it that way either.
Nope.
When did we turn into Jerry Falwell?
I don't know.
That was Jerry Falwell here.
Yeah, really.
This whole thing, but you can't not go through something like this again and not be affected.
Yeah, really. It's true.
I mean, if you're sitting home saying this doesn't concern me.
Yeah, because it happens way over there in France and who cares?
Wait.
Oh, no.
No, wait till it happens in Midtown again. You
know, we should learn. It's already happened to us.
And it's happened to us in a big city. Wait till it happens to your small town. Because if you don't think they're already here and you don't think they already are waiting for something.
Gosh, I read a little blurb of something that they're in Maryland, my home state.
Every state, this is true from what I've read, and it's not from Wikipedia.
No.
Every state in the union, according to Homeland Security, is watching some sort of terrorism in their own state. So here in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Okay, where we live. It's in Massachusetts where I work. It's in Indiana. It's in Washington State. It's all over the country. In Hawaii, Alaska, no less.
Jeez.
If you're talking every state in the union, and who'd want to get that job to go up to Alaska and raise it? But
and root out terrorists, yeah.
Really. But you know what I mean? It's here.
Yeah.
And we need to recognize it, and we need to pray.
Yes, we do.
For God to come in and, help us get rid of this. Because if not, it will take over for now. But we Christians all know how the story ends. And it ends well for us as Christians.
Yes.
Those who follow the Lord. It will end well. It may not end well to people's standards, but it ends well for us.
Yeah.
And I don't want to scare the little kiddies who happen to be listening. So that, but we do have, so please not only pray for the people of Paris. Right now, that's an immediate, but pray that this terror, that this evil, that this Satan,
yeah.
And it is.
Could it be?
Yes, it is.
It sure is. That Satan does not get the last word for your soul.
Yeah.
Okay, because I think this is gonna be this is hand-to-hand combat. This is one-on-one.
Perhaps a prayer to Saint Michael might.
And we definitely talk about Saint Michael as we're going along here. So that's Linda's not so easy nudge to get us to move on to the. Which is not yet the homilies, because yes, we do come here and we talk about the homilies that we hear, but we also look at other things, and we started off by looking at world events.
Yes.
We've got a few other things up our sleeve, and maybe even a little technology too, if I can get that in the time allowed.
We'll see.
Pull up that comfy chair, grab a stiff whatever drink.
Yeah, I'm still
morning for some people, but it's afternoon when we're recording this. But I didn't get my stiff drink to bring with me, so that's neither here nor there. But let's go to our first segment because we do happen to have some feedback.
How does it look from where you
From your side of the world, we have two pieces of feedback today. And the first one is from our friend in Washington State, John from Yakima. And Linda, what does John from Yakima have to say this time?
Okay, I have it up right here. Last Sunday. Let's see. All right, he's talking about no one, and it's as part of he was in the sacristy after the 7 a.m. mass. He has noticed that when he says mass in Spanish, his first language, this is the priest, associate pastor, no one ever comments on the homily. But after almost every Sunday mass in English, people comment on something he said that struck a nerve or was especially profound. Is this a common experience? How about some feedback from the clergy? Our bishops often remind our immigrant peoples that the United States is not a Catholic country, but was established by Protestants.
That's true.
Therefore, the people think differently than what they are used to. The country does not have a Catholic thinking base. Might this idea of reviewing homilies be a component of our Protestant background where the sermon is the major feature? First, to qualify, John,
okay,
we don't review homilies here. We just present them.
Thank you so much, because we get in trouble.
Yes. No,
There's
we
no
don't.
critiquing involved here.
There is no judgment here.
No, none whatsoever.
No, we just take homilies that we hear or happen to see online from different points of view, simply because it's wonderful to see how the scriptures are broken open by the different ministers of God.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Okay, so there is no reviewing homilies here. So he did notice that I had made some notes on the front of the bulletin, and I asked him if he ever considered recording his homilies. He didn't think that had ever crossed his mind.
No, they don't think about that.
No, he doesn't write his homilies down, but relies on the Spirit to give him the words that the people need to hear.
Oh,
no,
okay.
I'm not going to comment on that.
I mean, no, we'll just let that go by.
Yes. So what did he say, you ask? Okay, here's this. Now this is last week's readings.
Mm-hmm.
In Israel, widows were forgotten people. Yes, they were. Both the first reading and the gospel are examples of widows that God had provided for. They were at the end of all provisions that they had to live on, but God provided for their need. Sometimes we are just barely squeaking by, paying the bills, and along comes the church asking for money. He said that line in such an offhanded way that if you were visiting from another diocese, it might not have much meaning. We are in the midst of the annual Catholic appeal there in Yakima.
Ah, okay.
So those who were paying attention might have gotten a gentle bazooka blast. In the Aztec culture, people recognized that the sun was essential for life. So people were sacrificed every day to guarantee each day's new sun. We need oxygen to live. We breathe it in and out. He couldn't remember the chemical that we exhale. That would be carbon dioxide. He couldn't remember the chemical that we exhale and asked people next to him along the center aisle what it was. They replied, carbon dioxide.
Hey, that's good.
Yeah. This is a technique that any Toastmaster can tell you helps keep the audience paying attention.
That's true.
We never run out of oxygen. God provides all that we need.
Mm-hmm.
God's providing love doesn't end. Our heart is an eternal font of love when God is within it. When God is within it.
Mm-hmm.
The love comes from God. God is provider and protector. God's protection is not physical, but spiritual, protecting us from evil. When he was first in the seminary in Colombia, this would be his native country,
Mm-hmm.
a Monsignor would tell his students that when they are talking to themselves, to make sure that they are not talking to an evil person.
Ooh.
An evil person can justify any bad action. Personal stories make your points more memorable in the homilies.
That's true.
That must be a sort of addendum. He doesn't set it apart, but just from its content, I would say that's probably his comment. That personal stories make your points more memorable.
And it does. It really.
Yes, it does. It does. And then he said, that's the extent of my notes. And then he gives a kind of a music rundown of what was sung. Oh, God beyond all praising. He did the proper responsorial psalm, the love of the Lord, shepherd me, oh God, which is, I sang the love of the Lord last weekend too. Shepherd me, oh God, and come and see the many wonders.
Cool.
That's it.
Cool. And I think what I tried to try to get also from what John was saying was that the Spanish people probably won't say anything to the priest.
Yeah. He evidently doesn't get any feedback when he
doesn't get any feedback because they're like they're the old Catholic. No, you don't anything. But Americans now have gotten used to at least saying nice homily, Father.
Yeah, or hey, I didn't like what you said.
20-page, dissertation.
Yeah.
So, but at least the guys kind of know where people stand.
Yeah.
Which is good for them as they go forward.
Sure. Everybody needs a little feedback.
Oh, yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Speaking of feedback.
Speaking of feedback,
I wish I could go right into it, but we have another piece of feedback.
We have another piece of feedback. Good. Go for it, Joanne.
But this one's kind of, I don't want to say this is a setup feedback, but I had no idea she would send it. But Nancy Smith has been on vacation the last 2 weeks. And so she must be back home today as we record this. And so she sent she took the time to drop an email to our morningcatholic@gmail.com and said, I had to share my experience. Of course, she starts off with good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Like, at least 100 times. I had to share my experience watching the TV Mass from the Diocese of Fall River. It was a distinct pleasure to have Joanne as the organist for today's Mass. Well, yes, this is one, every once in a while, you get called in to sub or to play for somebody who doesn't have, accompaniment. People that they can bring with them. So I happened to get called by the folks at, actually, it was a friend of mine who contacted me on their behalf and said, are you available this week, to do the taping? And they tape sometimes weeks in advance. So that's why it was done last Saturday. Well, what day was that? The 7th, I think. It was done on the 7th. And they were doing 3 that day. We were the first ones up at 9 a.m. So that's a tough time to sing. Thank God I was.
Oh, yes, it is.
So she said it was well done with clarity, proper choice of music, etc. Now she's my friend. She's going to say that. I did not pay her. Right?
You didn't pay her to say that.
I didn't pay her to say that. But I had the best laugh. And you may know what I'm referring to, Joanne. Of course, I knew exactly where she was going with this. When you made the call to end the communion song based on the action in the sanctuary. And your cantor just kept singing. And so you kept playing. Now, in defense of my cantor who kept singing, he was given the signal from the TV guy to continue. And I could not see him because my music was on the music ledge of the organ.
Yeah.
And he was sitting down, so she could see him.
Yeah.
But I couldn't. So she kept singing and I went, okay, we're
going
this thing. But he came up after and apologized and said, I just wanted more in case we want to splice it in at the end.
Okay.
Because actually we finished early, a little bit early. So, which is, you've got 29:30 to do this.
Oh, geez.
29 minutes, 30 seconds to do Mass. Okay. That's all the time they give you. Some guys go really long and they have to chop and they hate that.
Yeah.
They go too short and then they have to stop and talk to them. So we were trying to get in, having done TV Masses with this particular before, and then this cantor had done them before. She and I kind of knew the drill. So I was like, okay, let's see if we can make this work.
Yeah.
In the 20, homilies and other things notwithstanding. But we got in, we were about at 27 minutes or 28 minutes and they wanted just a little bit more. So I was like, okay.
We'll keep going.
But one of those things where you just, and if the camera picked it up, I was probably doing, for those of you who can't see, one of these.
Yeah.
And then I just kept playing. So it was just like one of those minute of, okay, we've got to move on. And we're going to another verse. Fine. Find the final measure quickly. So, and then she said, anyway, thank you, Joanne, for your service to the Lord, always with excellence and grace. Your friend and vacationing fellow podcaster.
All right. Hi, Nancy.
We will have her back next week. Hopefully.
Yay.
The one who's got the biggest problem right now getting back to us is Stephen.
Yeah.
And we knew this might happen, but fear not, my friends. He will be here for the 100th show, definitely.
Yeah.
May not see Stephen until after the first of the year.
Yeah.
With a brand new place, and you've heard us talk to him about it and chronicling it, since he took the job way back in the spring. He's going through a lot.
Yeah.
So, and we are constantly telling you, okay, don't worry. But he needs to take a little time, and I'm going to see if I can talk to Jason, and see if Jason can do a couple of weeks with us.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Try to get Allison in again because she wants to come back. She's just been on a roll herself with her ministries, Reconcile to You ministry.
Oh yeah.
So let's see who else we can pop in here for Steve. No one can replace Steve.
No one can replace Stephen.
Not at all. But what I'd like to do is to continue to have the different sounding voices.
Yeah.
And especially a male voice. We definitely need a male voice because it can get drowned out by the women.
Yes.
But we need your voices too. We really do. So please, you can send us email like John and Nancy did to mondaymorningcatholic@gmail.com. You can put it up on our website in the little comment box, mondaymorningcatholic.net. You can, of course, get over there to facebook.com/Monday Morning Catholic and vote things and like things so we can talk about them, as well as leave us feedback there, because there is a section where you can do that also. Or you can be really brave. But here's my number, so call me later. And you can call us at the voice feedback line, 774-955-0659. It would have been better if Nancy done that, because then we could have had Nancy actually.
Yes.
Her voice on the show. So Nance, next time you're going to do something, which I love you for doing it, call the feedback line.
I love it.
All right. So now let's move on to...
Do you hear what I hear?
Do you hear what I hear for the 33rd Sunday in Ordinary Time?
Yeah.
Wow. That year, the liturgical year has gone by really fast.
Really fast.
No, we're just not ready yet. Nope, get rid of it. No, we're not ready yet. That's in a couple of weeks.
It's in a couple of weeks, is right.
So this is the 33rd Sunday of Ordinary Time. And of course, at the end of every liturgical year, we have those lovely end time readings.
Yes.
That we just love. Yep. Fire, brimstone, and everything else in the middle. But they're, they serve a purpose, and that's why they're there. So this week we started looking at, and next week we'll also have from the book of Daniel. Daniel is a lovely book. It's an apocryphal book.
Yes.
It's not just about him in the lion's den, folks.
He did other things.
And in this one, he's talking about the end time predictions, and he's talking about Michael, the great
prince
who's going to come and lead the forces, the good forces against the evil ones. It's very timely.
Yes.
In fact,
it is.
So anybody living through this past weekend and then hearing this reading may have thought we planned it that way.
Yeah.
No, not really. That was definitely, I don't believe in coincidence.
Yeah.
So,
that was what God wanted us to hear this morning.
Mm-hmm. And the proper psalm that gets us, to understand this is, "You are my inheritance, O Lord." It was Psalm 16, but instead of using the psalm, there were like 2 or 3 refrains.
There's several refrains for Psalm 16.
This is the one, so that we understand that we are part of the Lord's children, and we share in the inheritance that he promised us. So,
we did the Psalm 16. We did, I think it was David Haas's setting from the Cry Out with Joy.
Oh, okay. I have not heard that one.
It was very nice. I use a lot of David's music, and it's very nice. But this had a different feel to it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It had A flat in there that kind of made it a little bluesy.
Okay, those of you.
I'm sorry.
Yes, remember, they're not all music.
All right.
And
Anyway, it had a little bit of a bluesy sound, and the chant that went along with it for the verses was very complex and very nice.
Nice. Well, he has done Psalm 16s before.
Yes.
Showing the Path is one of them, with the bluesy sound, which I like.
Yeah. This worked very well. I thought the refrain was easy enough. The congregation caught it, and I really loved the chant. I thought it was really cool. Anyway.
Well, for the television mass that I worked with, I chose the Gimon. You are my. It's a nice, pretty melody. Fortunately, I was working with a dramatic soprano who had to sit in the basement for the verses.
Oh wow.
The chant was nice, and then it dropped down.
Oh yeah.
So she was like, no, at 9 o'clock in the morning, that's actually
That's fine. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, fine. Because I know you can blow the roof off this place. So, but the Guimond Psalms are so nice. And he's written like Cry Out, like all these other collections, one for every occasion in the church's cycle.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the beauty of having several of these resources.
mm-hmm.
You pull from the same one every week and they all kind of start to sound the same.
This is true.
But to have, 4 or 5 of these weekly resources is a wonderful thing. And you just look at all of them and you pull the one that you think either that your congregation already knows, or that you think they can pick up the quickest, That's
what I was thinking. And if you find one that works in your congregation, then it shows up at different times in the year.
Yeah, exactly. I can't wait for this one to come again. I really liked this one.
And I wasn't there to hear it.
Yeah, sorry.
It figures. But I was around to hear Hebrews 10.
Yeah.
not at our place.
We all heard Hebrews 10, yes.
Where again, we're talking about the sacrifices of they're really hitting the hammer home with a great priest here that, but this the priest may sacrifice all the time in the Jewish tradition, but this Christ had one sacrifice.
Right. And that's what forgives sins.
Exactly. And going into the year of mercy, boy, are we going to need that. Yes. And then one of the last gospels from Mark, we're at Mark 13, where we talked about, again, the end time, again, talking about those.
The sky will be darkened and the stars will shake and.
Yep. And then, but learn something from the fig tree.
Yes, right.
Put the little fig tree in the middle of all that. But the one thing that gives me hope is heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not.
That's right.
So that's something definitely to hold on to. So what did you didn't have 2 homilies this week, I take it?
No, only one.
Okay. So I'm even looking forward to hearing this because I was not there. I'm working in my parishes for the next 2 weeks. So I'm missing these.
Yeah. Well, I thought this was really nice.
Now let's go.
Not that I'm reviewing homilies.
Don't review homilies here. No, not at all.
We only present good ones. So there you go.
Well, don't even say that either, because that could get us in trouble. No judgments here.
Okay, no judgments here. He began this way with a quote. The world is passing through troubled times. The young people of today think of nothing but themselves. They have no reverence for parents or old age. They are impatient of all restraint. They talk as if they knew everything, and what passes for wisdom with us is foolishness to them. As for the girls, they are immodest and unwomanly in speech, behavior, and dress. Then he looked up at the congregation and said, now who do you think spoke these words?
Who?
How about Peter the monk in 1274 AD?
Wow. Whoa. Well, and as you were saying that, I was thinking, how many generations have said the same thing?
Yes.
Said the immodest dress. I was like,
yeah. No, evidently Peter the monk thought the girls were immodest in the 13th century too.
Oh. So let's review. This happens all the time.
Exactly. And that's what he said. He summed it up by saying, the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Exactly.
He said, this weekend marks the last weekend for us in ordinary time, numbered ordinary time, as next week is the feast of Christ the King. And then the following week, if you can believe it, is the first Sunday of Advent.
Hey.
Ready or not, here it comes. And that is what our readings today and throughout the season of Advent, at least the beginning part, tell us to be ready. Mm-hmm. Our gospel reminds us that we do not know the day nor the hour when the Son of Man will come back again. So we have to be ready at all times. The letter to the Hebrews reminds us that Jesus sacrificed himself so that we may have life eternal. And the challenge now is to live out that salvation. It means that we should not put things off. We have a tendency to do that with great regularity. And he said, when I say we, I mean we, all of us, me included. He said, we need to find time to pray and not say, I'll do it tomorrow or next week. We need to find time to assist others and to be the people that we are called to be. I came across a poem a couple of years ago that is probably a message from a husband to a wife or a wife to a husband, but it can also be seen as a poem from one Christian to another. And then he read it. If you are, well, he read it with the addendum that he doesn't usually use poetry because while he loved plays and novels, he didn't like poetry much in school.
Everybody has their likes and dislikes.
So he said, but this poem really spoke to me. He said, if you are ever going to love me, this is the speaker in the poem. Mm-hmm. If you are ever going to love me now, while I can know the sweet and tender feelings from which true affection flow. Love me now while I am living. Do not wait till I am gone, and then have it chiseled in marble, sweet words on ice-cold stone. If you have tender thoughts of me, please tell me now. If you wait until I am sleeping, never to awaken, there will be death between us, and I won't hear you then. So if you love me even a little bit, let me know it while I am living, so I can treasure it.
Ah,
nice poem.
That is.
Okay, and he used that to, kind of give everybody a push to, if you're going to do something for your fellow human beings, let's do it now. Mm-hmm. Let's not say we'll do it next week.
Yep.
He said, this poem also reminds me of a little story of a man who lived in Rhode Island.
Oh, gee.
And his daughter who lived in Minnesota. And he said, the father called his daughter and said, I'm really missing you. Could you could you come and spend some time with me here in Rhode Island? And the daughter said, oh, Dad, I'm so busy. Work is so pressing and everything. And the father said, honey, if I drop dead tomorrow, would you come to my funeral? And she goes, well, of course I would. And he said, well, I'd rather you miss my funeral and come talk to me now.
Wow. But
yeah. So he said, so as we say farewell to ordinary time and prepare for Advent, may we not put off those words and actions that reflect the love we are called to have for one another. For we do not know the day nor the time. Only the Father knows. Let us live every day to the full.
Yep. Exactly right.
So yeah, I liked the way he began it, and I really liked the poem. That was nice.
Yeah, do we know where that poem came from?
He didn't cite anything.
Shoot.
He just said he came across a poem a number of years ago.
Father John, please cite it in your so that we can tell folks where to find it.
Find the poem, yes. So,
we want to know where the poem comes from.
It's a nice poem.
Yeah, because I'd like to put it up on the Facebook page. That would be nice if I can find it, because I'm sure it's out there somewhere.
Yeah.
Might even be a meme.
I could probably Google it and
Truth.
I'll put the first line in.
Yeah, Google will find anything.
That's right.
Google will find anything. Well, that, again, it's November. It's the month of All Souls. It's the end of ordinary time, moving into that other time as we come up to Advent.
Yes.
And you're going to get a lot of this. I happened to hear 2 different homilies this weekend that were so different that I knew nobody else would come upon them. So I need to share them as much as my brain can remember them. So the first one was, I tend to watch streaming TV masses. Okay. There are parishes throughout the country and throughout the world that put a camera in their church and they stream their liturgies. I think that's wonderful. Okay. The only thing I don't like about this particular one, and I really want to get a hold of the pastor and let him know, but it may not be anything he can do, because see, when you're a parish, you don't have a lot of money to do this.
Yes.
So you try to do the freebie things, And I think because it's on Ustream, it's okay for him. He can put it up there for free, or he may pay a little something. But when it's on my side, I either have to pay for no advertising, or, as what happened in this case, in the middle of the gospel, a very inappropriate commercial came up.
Oh.
You can't get rid of it. You can't block out of it.
Yeah.
You can pray that it goes by quick enough so you can get back to what you're watching.
Jeez.
I don't like things like that. And I think it, especially for this type of thing, it takes away.
Yeah, sure.
You know, but I don't think that's something he can control.
Yeah.
I think
not if he's doing it for free.
Right. And I think it's something that we, you know, he doesn't have the money to make it so the commercials don't show up. And a lot of us don't buy into every single thing on the internet, it would all go broke.
Yes.
So, but I mean, when it comes to mass, that is a real downer.
Yeah, it is.
So I was lucky that we, you know, I knew what the gospel was because I'd already done a TV mass and prepped for the show. So when it came back on, it was just starting the homily. And this presider did something that I don't think not too many presiders would have done this weekend. They kind of took the first reading and the emphasis on Michael, the archangel, in light of what happened this weekend, in light of what's been going on in the world and in society, and took the opportunity to plug into, we need to know more about Michael, what Michael the archangel does in our Catholic world, and what is he, who is he, and, you know, how does he help all of us. And so he went on and told the story of how Pope Leo XIII was put upon to write down this prayer to St. Michael, which if you pray the rosary, a lot of people use it then. When Leo XIII did this back in the late 1800s, somewhere between 1880 and 1886, because they can't pin that down either. That, which is a funny, you know, sometimes when you're trying to corroborate the story.
Yes.
And you've got multiple dates.
Yes.
In those days, the Italians would have written, well, maybe it was 1882.
Yeah, who knows, you know?
You don't know. It was it was Leo XIII. We do know that.
Yes.
Okay. And at the end of a mass, he was leaving the altar and then ended up just kind of being transfixed for maybe a few moments and then passed out. And as they're reviving him, he's saying, oh my gosh, you have no idea what I just witnessed. And apparently he witnessed this conversation, or heard this conversation between God and Satan.
Wow.
And with Satan saying, I will destroy your church. And God is saying, take your best shot. And he says, but I need more time. So he's like, well, you know, you can have the time. Well, I need more power. Well, you can have the power, but you still won't destroy this church. And apparently it moved Leo XIII to write this great prayer for St. Michael, because St. Michael is the archangel who supposedly, if you read Revelation, he's the one who comes to defend and to give God's judgment, you know, to open the door for God's judgment on the world. So he wrote this huge prayer. Like, it's really long. I looked it up, and I didn't look it up on Wikipedia either. I looked it up, and what they did was they actually shortened it so that it could be used at the end of every mass. From 1886 to I believe 1964. And it's the you probably know it by heart, Linda.
St. Michael.
Do you know?
It was the person at the foot of the altar.
Right.
Yeah.
At the end of mass, at the end of low mass.
The last gospel, and then the person at the foot of the prayer to St. Michael, and yeah.
Hold on, I'll grab it then. I wasn't sure if you knew it from memory or not.
Not from St. Memory, no.
I don't know it from memory because it's a little ahead of my time. Not by much, but a little ahead of my time. Hold on. There it is, the vision of St. Leo. Let me grab that prayer. So, Oh, and they don't have it on here.
Oh, geez.
Must have been the other one I was looking at, because I took a look at a few of them.
All I know is it starts out, St. Michael, defend us in battle. That's it.
There it is. All right. St. Michael the archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, thrust into hell Satan and all the other evil spirits who prowl throughout the world, seeking the ruins of souls. Amen. And that prayer is prayed at the end of Rosary still, but it was used at the end of Mass up until Vatican II. And then, of course, everybody blames Vatican II for the fact that they got rid of it, and now we've got problems.
No.
But I think it's a good prayer to start putting in putting in your arsenal of prayers right now.
It's it's something. It's a prayer. St. Michael is kind of unofficial patron of mine.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. Only because it's very difficult for women in the church sometimes. It really, to be allowed to minister and to have any kind of voice. And so not only am I a woman and lay person, unordained, but I am a guitarist. So
sorry, Linda.
Okay. That's why St. Michael is my unofficial patron.
Okay, I get you.
I need somebody to go with me in battle.
Exactly. And John Paul II urged Catholics back in 1994 to pick up this prayer again.
Yeah.
And he says, even if today this prayer is no longer recited at the end of the Eucharistic celebration, I invite all not to forget it, but to recite it in order to obtain help in the battle against the forces of darkness and the spirit of this world. Absolutely correct.
Absolutely correct.
So
absolutely.
So if you don't know what to say, folks, especially in the face of everything that's going on, grab this prayer.
Find a prayer to St. Michael and pray it.
Yep. Because Michael the Archangel it figures into everything that's happening. And again, we don't pray to him. We're asking for his
intercession.
Okay. So just know that. So that homily I thought was unique. Not a lot of people were going to get this type of slant on the end time. And again, it's perfectly legit.
Oh yeah.
And in some places very needed and very timely for what happened this past weekend. But then I went to Mass at where I work because I had a meeting, and the presider there, who was one of our, I affectionately refer to them as the rent-a priests, and he's a Jesuit that teaches at BC High. And he came out with, and of course I was waiting to see where this was going to go, talking about the Peanuts movie. And he said, here I am, a 54-year-old man, and I'm excited about going to the Peanuts movie, and it comes, and it wasn't even the best Peanuts movie I've ever seen. He said, but it brought back some good memories. He said, and in my household, he said, we were 6 kids, 3 boys, 3 girls. And he said, and my father was a very difficult man. And there wasn't a lot of joy in my house. He said, but when we would watch, all 6 of us would sit down. Of course, you could only watch Peanuts once a year.
Yeah.
It's not like 177 times that you can now if you own it. He said, you only watch it once a year. If you missed it, that was it for the next year. He said, but when we'd all sit down and get a chance to watch this and everybody was good, he said, that was a great memory and there was hope. He said, and when I read these I read this gospel to you today, he said, I bet it scared a lot of you. You little ones especially, he said. And he said, but there's a lot of hope here. He said, we do have Michael the Archangel. We do have, Jesus. Every time we come to this banquet, we get fed so that we can go out and not so much do battle, but to bring hope to people. He said, so even though it's scary, and even though maybe there's not a lot of joy, he said, there's always hope. And that was such a different take as well on these readings. Because a lot of the kids, I could see a lot of the kids, and when you start talking about that stuff, either they can't plug into it or they plug into it too much. And that's what happens with children. Either they kind of dismiss it, and then it's the stuff that nightmares are made of, or they get very frightened right away. And it's like, ooh, I don't want to hear that kind of, no.
Yeah.
So these were two very different takes, yet needed for the kid. I mean, I was at a mass where there were a lot of kids there. And so he got them in by using the Peanuts movie.
Yeah.
So that he could explain, and using his own home situation, which I thought that was also very brave.
Yes.
To explain that even priests can feel like there's no hope at times. And yet there is hope, and Jesus is our hope. So those were pretty good.
All right.
We had 3 very different, but
very different, but all very good.
But now we need to move on to the last thing we're going to be able to do today, because we got so far off on the tangent early on. But it was timely.
Yes, it was.
But we do have to
ignore that.
No, you can't. But we are going to do
The voice of the people cannot be denied.
Yes, the voice of the people. And admittedly, the voice of the people, basically, we're all over the Paris stuff.
Yeah.
Had to go to the next thing that actually garnered a lot of likes and people reached. And it was the one that I put up yesterday. And if you haven't Saturday. And if you haven't seen it yet, so some people don't go to Facebook on the weekend, it might get even bigger over during the week. But it was one came from Pray Tell. And it was about reception of communion from the chalice is intrinsic to the Mass. And I felt I needed to put that up as a liturgist because I see a lot of people walk by the chalice on a regular basis. What makes me even more nervous is when they walk by the chalice and don't acknowledge it. Or they're talking, or they're chewing, or they're doing something, that's just as much Jesus.
Yes.
And I don't think we have a sense of that truly, that's just as much Jesus. We think that, well, yeah, of course, he's in the host. That's his body. Well, folks, that's his blood. Hello. It's not any less. And we do have a choice canonically,
Yes, because they tell us that the complete Eucharist is in either species.
Exactly. But it is intrinsic to the Mass.
I agree with the article.
Right.
I agree with the article 100%. It's the fullness of the sign that we are commanded to do.
Right. And I think the basis of that article is we are commanded to offer the fullness.
Yeah.
All the time.
And fortunately, our present pastor agrees with that wholeheartedly.
Right. But then, of course, you get the folks, well, here comes cold and flu season.
Oh, yeah, I know. And once again, our present pastor is very good about saying to people, look, this is a sacrament. This is the body and blood of Christ. Christ does not wish you illness.
Right.
The Eucharistic ministers are trained to wipe and turn the cup every time.
Right.
And what you're drinking is alcohol, for heaven's sakes.
Right. The matter is still alcohol.
Yes, the matter of it is still alcohol, which it has a cleansing agent anyway.
Right.
So he said, you probably have more chance of picking up illness doing the sign of peace than drinking from the chalice.
This is true. And as one who has already had the 4.5 week
yeah.
Okay. I can tell you that it is an even colder flu season, and I've already had the virus.
Yeah.
While I had the virus, I would not receive from the cup.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, because I did not want to give anyone else this.
Yeah.
So I had and one Sunday I stayed home.
Yeah.
I was sick.
Well, hey.
You know, you were supposed to keep holy the Sabbath day. We have an obligation to go to church, but we don't have an obligation to go and spread our germs to everyone.
Or risk becoming sicker.
Exactly. That's
You
not
know, when you're sick, you're supposed to stay home, take your medicine, and sleep.
right. But one thing that I know the article didn't address that I put in my comment was that my first communicants, wherever I've been,
Yeah.
have been taught to receive both.
And that's great. Ours, I have not.
Yeah. They really
Now, there are some who do.
Mhm.
Once they make their first communion, their parents say, you know, you may go to the cup. And
Right.
it took the Eucharistic ministers by aback a little bit.
Mhm.
It was like, you know, they're looking around saying, should I give this kid the cup? But, you know, the parents were fine with it, you
Mhm.
know.
But
But
I think
when they make their first communion, they don't get the cup.
But I think the thing is that we as the ministers, you know, in the church that work and do this kind of thing, I think it's up to us to show them how
Yeah.
to receive, the right way to receive. So if we don't do it, then we leave it to the parents who may or may not
Yes.
know the right way to receive from the cup. So we don't want a whole bunch of people thinking, well, I don't know how to do this. I was never taught, so I'm not going to.
Exactly.
We need to teach them. And that's why I teach them as first communicants. And basically what I've done is we tell the parents, and I did tell the parents this, we didn't do it last year because of my first year. This year we did.
Mm.
I went in my first parent meeting in September and I said, look, we are going to offer communion under both species at first communion. Eyes. Wow.
Yeah.
Ooga, you know, that type of thing. And I said, look, but it is up to you and your child as to whether or not you will take us up on this invitation.
Uh-huh.
We're going to teach it.
Yes.
You have up until the day to make up your mind.
Yeah.
And we do. We teach them how to receive from both. We use the wine with them. We, you know, so that they can make their faces, you know, all those lovely faces, like kids go, whoa.
Yeah.
And I've said to some of them, because we live in an ethnic Portuguese area, those of you who are Portuguese and who've had wine at the table for years.
Yeah.
If you want to begin by giving your child a sip of your wine at the table, see how they react.
Yeah.
Explain to them this is wine here, but when it's at church and we go through mass, it's Jesus.
Yeah.
We keep what we do with emphasis on the bread being the body. We emphasis on the wine being the blood, and we know blood with kids tends to be a sticky issue.
Yeah.
I use the right terms, you know, so that they understand. And most of my experience and I would say this is over 15 years, not altogether, but 15 years span, you know, overview. I would say about 75% receive.
And that, you know, that's good to do it. This is the way. This is normative.
Mm-hmm. This is normative. If you want your child to wait a few more years after first communion, fine, up to you. But we're going to teach you how to do this.
Yes, and this is the normative way to receive.
Right.
And I've noticed it. You know, it started. We've been doing it at 10:30 mass for years and years.
Mm-hmm.
And when our first, when this present pastor came, he had it. He wanted to have it at the Saturday vigil mass, and so we instituted it there. And little by little, the people first, you know, they barely put wine in the cups, you know, because people were passing it by.
Right.
But you know, with catechesis, preaching about receiving from the cup, and blah, it has grown, and so he instituted it a couple of years ago at the 8:30, because sometimes the 8:30 is barely awake. So he used that mass the last, and now I am also seeing, because usually the minister of the wine is standing right in front of me. I'm seeing more and more people, even at the 8:30, receive from the cup.
Yeah, and I think the more it becomes normative, the more people will feel like as if they can. And it, you know, and one of our Facebook people on here, Amy, you know, she explained too that all her second graders preparing for the sacrament have tried it and generally do it on their first communion day and then adopt their family practice, which, you know what?
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But what we've done what we've been asked to do.
You taught them correctly. Yeah.
Teach them that it is normative, to teach them the proper way of reception.
Yeah.
Whether it's in the hand, on the tongue, by taking the cup, we've done that. What they do after that is up to them and their families.
And their families, yeah.
But not to offer it. That's what this article is saying. This is intrinsic, and it is.
And the number of places where it's offered is so small.
And I can't believe that.
It is.
I
knew it. Well, we're in New England, Joanne.
True.
It's
true. Say no more. True.
Yeah.
True. And I say no more means we're at the end of the show too.
Yeah. Say no more.
Who says we can't fill up an hour?
Nobody.
Nobody. Oh,
bring up a topic, we'll talk about it.
This is true, and we can keep going and go, but we won't. We do have, as we've told you before, our 100th show coming up. We will definitely have the whole, because we are not going to do it on a Sunday. We are definitely do it on a different day. Whether it gets released, it'll probably get released on a Sunday or Monday, or maybe we'll have two that week. Who knows? We're not going to get that carried away though. But so if you have anything, again, that you want us to bring back up, revisit, have another chuckle over or cry over, then again, use the same method as sending us feedback. MondayMorningCatholic@gmail.com, MondayMorningCatholic.net comment box, Facebook page Facebook.com/Monday Morning Catholic, or the voice feedback line, 774-955-0659. You know what I'm going to ask everybody to pray for this week, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. There's right now, defeating whatever this is most important in this world. And I think everything else would fall into place if we could just do this. So please, this is your prayer mission for this week. And I will say our folks from the Catholic Cranberry Collaborative, they're in Rome and we got to get them home. So a couple extra prayers along that way would be very appreciated. So for Linda Reed, myself, Joanne Mercier, thank you so much for being with us again this week. And hang in there, folks. God is greater than anything else that can come at us. Thank you, and ciao for now.